Welcome
Welcome to
to
Oh
Oh
Sweet
Sweet
Wonders.
I'm William Wonders III,
And I'm Keala Wonders, formerly known as Keala B.
and we are Oh Sweet Wonders. Thank you so much for joining us. The purpose of this podcast is to have real conversations about real topics, dealing with before relationships, during and after, and speak a little bit to our experience. So you dropped in my DMs first.
Whoa.
And then
That is not how you're going to start this out. That is absolutely not how you're going to start this
you
out.
saw your boy.
No. Let's back up.
Okay.
Let's back up. So, we met in 2021, right? In Lena D, WOG. So Lena D, Christian rapper, she was going live, DJing and stuff like that. And I would pop in her lives. I met her from the For You page on TikTok. And then, I don't know, for some reason, you just started showing up. And I'm like, who is Wonders? Hi, Wonders. And then you came in with the jokes. Like, you always had something smart to say.
What do you mean?
You always had something smart to say.
Listen, just because I told the truth, everybody wanted to say. Listen, she would have people come in here talking about. Can I sing a song? Can I play some of my music? And that joint was trash.
See, you shouldn't say things like that.
Okay, it was trash at that time.
Okay.
And they never got better.
Wow.
But
You hitting them. But Lena was going live. I would pop in her live every now and then I would see you cutting the fool. You were joking, and we I don't know who followed who first, but I think you followed me first.
I didn't. But
You don't remember that.
I don't know who followed who first.
Exactly.
I think
So
you-
why would you say it was me?
Why would you say it was me? It's okay if you follow me first. It's all right.
Okay. So
I knew you was fine. I saw your profile picture. I was like, who is that? And I think I followed you from Lena D's page.
2024 on March 1st, I went live like I normally do. And I mean, in between that time, you've come into my lives, and I went into a couple of your lives. You know, I had to stay away.
Why is that?
Because you had them thirst traps going on.
I did not have no thirst traps.
He had the thirst traps going on.
Mm-hmm. I don't either. I don't see any of that.
All
on
the
my page.
ladies were in your lives.
Just amazing people on TikTok. That's all.
Yeah. So December of 2023, I remember that live specifically because you did like a reset. You did a end of year, beginning of year reset.
Yeah.
And during that time, it helped me. Because I was like, oh, I need this. It was like encouraging. It was helping me to like get things together. And I was like, oh, this is what I should call it, reset. And so I started resetting, during that time. So Sundays became my reset days. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that live was on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I started my resets, things like that. March 1st is when I went live. And you came into my live and you got on the panel. And we were just, casually talking. At least I thought. You came in, I was like, brother, what's good, Wonders? You start shooting your shot. All the shots going over my head. I was missing it all. And you were like, I love a woman with a country accent. Oh, okay. Wow. Oh, my gosh. And so
Right over her head.
you said that. You were like, you want kids? I was like, what? What? You want kids? This is what we doing right now on live? And so everybody's in the chat and they're like, I feel like I'm watching speed dating or something. Like, and you were like, I ain't trying to be your brother.
No. Say it right.
You did. You was like, don't call me your brother no more. I ain't trying to be your brother.
No, she said it like we were just going to get off after what we talked about. So she's just going to get off and be like, all right, into my brother. And I was like, whoa. Whoa, whoa.
I ain't trying to be your brother.
I don't remember saying trying to.
We'll have to
I
play it back.
remember saying I ain't your brother. Let me hear you say. A lot of times, some of these ladies might be interested. They try to put you in that box. Don't sit there in the box. Be honest. You know what I'm saying? Be honest about. I ain't trying to be in that box. I'm trying to be in another box. Okay, a husband box.
Okay, clarify.
Okay,
Because
get
the
your
people,
get
no,
your mind together.
clarify. Because the people, I mean, I'm married. What do
You
you
no,
mean?
this don't use that excuse. But so that's her side. My side is I got out of a relationship and I really thought that was gonna work out and it didn't, and I was done. You know what I'm saying? I was done with hurting somebody, me hurting myself. That it was the one that God had for me, and I was done. I was just like, I'm just going. I said, you know what? I actually remember sitting there. I was like, I'm just going to be out here in these Christian streets. Maybe I'll go on a date, stuff like that. But I'm just like, I'm tired. Like I'm tired of it not being the one. And so Christmas break, I was the only one working for my job. Like a dun I should have took off, but I didn't. So I pulled into my parking space and I felt this unsurmountable loneliness. And not knowing that in that God was setting me up. God was setting me up. I saw that you were live. I said, oh, because I'd been in live with her before, but every time she went live, she was doing Bible study. She was doing, all these amazing things. But, I know my lives were a little different at that point in time. You know what I mean? It was a little more debauchery, you know what I'm saying?
Good work.
But also I got to a point where myself wasn't being seen, my true self. And so I started changing my content, started doing resetting. And then that's how we, hooked up and everything. And you come into my live. Every time you came into my live, I was like, whose profile picture is that? I was like, who is that? Every time you came, I was like, who is that? I would click on it and I would see your face. I'm like, oh, no, that's what you call. Okay, that's Keala. Boom. And then I would look through your profile and then I come out of it and continue to live. And every time it happened, every time I was like, oh, she fine. But she would do Bible studies at the pool.
Wait,
And then
I didn't do Bible study at the pool.
It
I
felt
was
like
just
it
in the pool.
in the pool talking about scriptures and God. Bible study. Bible study.
Wow.
I just want to come say hi. Oh yeah, did you know that God? Bible study.
That's how you came into my live too on March 1st. And you were like, yeah, Keela's gonna always do Bible study.
That's
You
one thing Keala gonna do.
You can't approach her any kind of way.
And it's true, and it was kind of cool. But I know I needed to see you doing that because I was I'm a minister, elder in my church, and I think that I got to a point where I was burnt out. So I go into your live. I said, oh, I was literally just going to sit there in my car and just watch you live. That's it. And then you allowed me to come up and we started talking. That's what black people do when we hear a sound. When something moves.
No, it was like
I was like.
I was thinking of an exit plan.
I was like, all right now. So I go in there and we just start talking. And we're doing all this stuff and we're just talking, laughing. And as I'm sitting there, something hits me, right? And that's something the Lord was like he turned on a light bulb. And I literally, in the video, you can see me go like this. Oh, yeah. And I kind of look up a little and I go, her? Her? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, God, her? And when you have a relationship with Christ, you have that communication. It wasn't I didn't have a relationship with Christ and we never talked about, God knew my desires of my heart. He knew exactly who I needed, the way I needed them. And God was like, okay, it's time. And you sat there and we laughed and talked and everything. And let me tell you something. She's so fine. I remember that, but I always had a respect for her. That I think that's what increased the attraction was because you were doing God stuff and you were genuine. Now I watched you for a little while because there's a lot of people out here doing Bible study, preaching, and they not who they say they are. And I watched Keela, go through, her ups and downs, and but she stayed consistent with the Lord, and I think that was what was attractive to me. Anything you went through, you still stay with God, and that's what always kept me coming back to your lives. And every time we go into your life, because of the standard you set the standard that I wanted in my wife, and I needed for myself as well to respect that, and it drew me close to you, and I always respected that about you in your lives, talking to people, having the courage to do Bible study, because me at the end of my lives, we did all that stuff and
We
talk and
still
stuff like
pray.
that. I would still pray at the end, and every
Yeah.
time I did, everybody be like, let's pray. You know what I mean? So since men are hunters, right? When a man finds what he wants, I immediately, now that I think about it, the lion came on,
You
and I was
did. It switched quickly. That's when you were like, you want kids? Huh?
no. You know what? I said the accent first.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You did. You was like, I love a woman with a country accent. I'm like, boy, you crazy.
I
Like,
was like,
I'm going on with the conversation.
right.
And then after that, we kept talking, and you was like, you want kids?
I had to know. I was doing my,
I was like, yeah. Everybody's in the chat wonders, how old are you? Keela, how old are you? Like, Lena pushing stuff up. She was like, wonders, why don't you tell Keela some of your poems?
That's
She
funny.
was like, why don't you tell Keela some of your poems? Nah, she ain't ready for that love stuff.
She
I'm
ain't, she
like, yes,
ain't,
I am.
she ain't ready for that.
Like, yes, I am. He did not say his poems. Do that because it was good.
It was a good live.
It really was. It was good. It was to see like our chemistry together, and it's been like that though. When you come into my live, like it's just it's been that you would come in and you would do Bible study with me. You saved one of the other guys because I almost I almost went in on him. I almost went in on him, and Wonders was right there. Thank you, honey. But no, just you know, all of the times in the passings,
Yeah.
I didn't think nothing. It was like, okay, he fine, yes. He looked good. His eyes look good. Like his eyes, something about that man eyes. Okay. And then he got a beautiful smile. Just I be like, oh Lord, I just like yeah, he had a beautiful smile. I absolutely pray for good teeth in my husband. Lord, let him have a good mouth, Jesus. Please don't.
You want no
Your
gummy?
uncle.
Yo, uncle.
No, he could not have messed up teeth, a messed up mouth, stank mouth. That was not gonna work. But I wasn't even looking at you in that way. It was just like,
Right.
okay, he's handsome. Like
But why weren't you looking at me in that way?
I wasn't focused on that. I took my focus off of wanting to be in a relationship, wanting to be married. Like God really shifted my mindset concerning being a wife, waiting on my husband. Before I was looking, but I was also attracting the wrong ones. It was terrible. And I was like, nah, because I can't let my guard down like that. And so I started shifting in the way I saw me and preparing to like be found. And it came back in December. That December 23rd, after your live. During around that time, I was still dealing with the loneliness and needing companionship and, all the things. I'm like, God, I want that hug. Like, I need that kiss on the forehead. I need, And so I'm talking to God about these things. And he was like, all right, make me your husband. I was like, huh? It's like, what? And it might have been a little bit before December, but I had been talking to God consistently about being found and, preparing as a wife, and I'm like, God, you've prepared me for the season. Like, I feel like I'm ready. I'm in this place. I'm doing this. And I was ready, but I wasn't ready. I didn't want to be found during that part of my life because of where God had me. But I also wanted to be surrounded with the person that would find me, if that made any sense. Like, I needed that person there, but I also felt like this would be the wrong season if he came. I prayed and I was like, God, I really need this. Like, I can't do this alone anymore. So he was like, okay, make me your husband. Take your mind and your focus off of that. You're making an idol out of it because you desire it. Well, make me the desire of your heart, and I'll give you the desires of your heart. If you dwell in me, if you rest in me, I will rest in you. I will dwell in you, and then I will show you what you have a desire for. And so I took my mind and my focus off of, oh, he fine. Let me see if he want me. I took my focus off of marriage, off of being, wanting a husband and all of those things as we do as wives. And I started seeking God even more on that level. Who is he to me? He cannot just be my father. He cannot just be my brother and my friend, but he also can be my husband, but not in a, not in a sexual way. But if we read the Bible, he talks about that often, how he is the husband. And if Jesus is the bridegroom, you know what I'm saying? If Jesus is the bridegroom, we are the bride as the church, then why shouldn't I look at him as my husband? So he started preparing me in that way, where I did not submit to any person. I submitted to him. I committed to him. I committed to studying his word and being his face. I started preparing, not just, how I cook for you and I make sure that the house is taken care of. Well, I did that for God. I made sure my house was taken care of. I made sure that whatever I put in my body, I started eating differently and changing the way I look. And I started getting more healthy. I lost 92 pounds, and it was like I took care of my temple. I took care of the needs that God put in me. I started doing the things that I needed to do in my singleness, which then caused me to be prepared and ready when I was found. Well, December, I went in your live and I'm like, all right, God, like, whoo, Jesus. The little the videos you did and the teddy bear video, I'm like, okay, he cute, he fine. I ain't looking, I ain't looking, but I looked a couple of times. He was dancing, you know, thought he was really handsome, all of the things. And then January 1st, God told me to start praying for my husband. But he didn't say pray for him to like come. He said pray for his mind, pray for his heart, pray for his spirit, pray for his connections, pray for, the things around him, the people that are surrounding him, the atmospheres that he's going in, where his feet go. So it's often where as women we be like, Lord, let my husband come on, Jesus, and it's like, no, let me change the way I'm praying. Let me actually pray for my husband. What is he going to be doing that's going to cause me to be prepared, like in his business, in his career, in his ministry? Like what mantle am I taking on as his wife? So January I started praying, and March you were here, which was crazy because I was like, no, wait, Lord, I was for real, but I was like playing for real a little bit, because I'm like, you got me in this season, and I don't think I'm ready for him to be in this season with me.
And I just think, I think this the point, which I think is the subject of this for this podcast episode is, and I think the purpose of the whole podcast is, people need to get prepared before they get into relationships.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of Christian young ladies and men talk about, yeah, I guess we'll find them somehow. I don't know what God is doing, but it's got to be. And it's like your approach. Yes, I know you love God. I know you love, but your approach to getting a mate, you haven't even asked God how to approach that.
Yeah.
You have there are things in yourself because as soon as God puts you with that person, you have to be ready to shed things about yourself you didn't even think you needed to shed.
Right.
And a lot of times you got to do that. A lot of times, if you start doing that ahead of time, you'll be humble. You'll be, your ego will be dampened in a way where you can actually do these things.
Yeah.
But some of you guys are meeting the right person, but you're not ready. And so you play with the opportunity, you play with the person, and then you wondering why things ain't going around. And God was like, God, what you said my husband? He's like, I sent him. You weren't ready. You weren't doing what you supposed to be doing. Because every time I try to prepare you to get ready for your husband, you start doing what your friends do.
Yeah.
You start listening to them and do it that way. And God's like, because God ultimately wants us for himself. So just like you did, you consecrated yourself to him.
Right.
you know and I think a lot of us are not doing that. We're single with God, but we're not consecrated to God. And that's why our flesh, and that's why these lessons keep coming. Why do you keep coming against the same lesson? Because you have not passed it, you haven't learned it, and it's going to prepare you for your husband, for your wife.
I think a lot of it is where we put our focus, which is why God was like, "Come here, I need you to like focus in on me, make me your husband. Come to me when you need help. Come to me if you want that kiss on the forehead." And so it caused me to realize, like, okay, what feelings or emotions that I get? How do I feel? Is it the security that I feel, or the safety, or the covering that I feel with that kiss on the forehead, with being in the arms of a man that I could call husband? And God is like, so you don't feel like you can get these things from me? I can be your everything because I am. And if I am is in your forefront, then I never have to worry about any feelings of lack, or I don't have to worry about what's missing, or I don't have to worry about not feeling wanted or desired, or any of those things that as a woman we can feel. And it's something else too, when if we idolize anything, if we put anything before we look to God, or it's like, I don't think we realize that wanting to be married and wanting to be a wife or a husband sometimes can come before God, because of where our mindset is and our seeking. It's like, that's all we talk about, that's all we're looking for, and you're missing all of the wonderful things that you're assigned to in your singleness.
You that's interesting, because it's like, here's the other problem, right? The other problem is, even when you get married, your husband is not your God.
No.
And so what he was doing with you is like, aren't you my God? Because and the word and I'm saying it this way strongly because it is a thing, and got to do with me with that, and that's the idolatry. All of us making marriage an idol, or making a wife an idol, and things like
Right.
like that. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah, because
what
you have to go into some deeper avenues and roads dealing with that, because
yeah,
it's needed, because it's happening,
yes,
and sometimes it's a silent killer
yes,
spiritually.
yes, and it becomes manifested in your life if it's not taken care of. So it's like, but it's God ordained that he took care of the idols, idolatry, no matter if they were small or big, Because a lot of people hear idolatry. Oh, I'm worshiping this golden calf. No, it starts as little because that's how the enemy does. He starts little, these little idols, and then they slowly become bigger and bigger in our hearts.
Yeah.
So he dealt with you like before, right? And God dealt with my idol stuff before we got married. And let me tell you something. Woo! Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll set that for another episode. But I do think that a lot of these things can be taken care of. This right here is going to test your relationship with God. Don't tell me that, oh, I love God, I got a relationship with God and things like that, but you have not asked him or included him in your decisions. Or even asking about what you want. You haven't even included him in it. You have not considered what God wants for you or what God has for you. Because if you do that, God will say, well, why do you want this in this person? Why do you have to have the bad boy?
What's tied to that?
Right.
What unhealed, not non-delivered, piece of you that wants that. I used to say this too, and not used to. I say this to a lot of women that I come in contact with that are talking about their list. Oh, every woman has a list. No, every woman does not have a list. And I think when we create a list, then we're out of order. Unless it's God saying, here, write this. Like, yes, be specific in your asking. But I think the things that we're listing is, oh, he got to be this. He got to have this going on. He has to have this type of job. He has to have this type of money. He has to look this way. He has to have this. He has to have that. And he drives this car. He lives in this house. Like, but then you don't realize what car you drive, what house you live in, what's in your bank account.
And why does your list look like your ex-boyfriend's?
Why that look like all them other jokers that it did not work with, So I was in this at this church one time, and we built our man. Build a dude. But it was a singles ministry thing, and we built husbands and things like that. It was a struggle for me, and it wasn't until like later on, around the time that we were getting closer to engagement, that I realized why I could never pinpoint what I wanted in a man what I wanted him to look like, because I would have disqualified what God actually planned and purposed for my life, which would then alter who I am. Because when you come into contact with the person that God has for you in their purpose, it really starts to align everything in you